In this video, let's talk about being aware of being aware. So being aware of being aware, when that's 24/7, all the time, without any effort, that's enlightenment. That's the enlightened state, which is very natural. It's the natural state. And I don't even really like saying the word state, because a state is something that kind of comes and goes. When this shift happens, there's no going back. You can't go back. You can't go back to the unawareness. You're just always aware of being aware. And everything is so natural. And everything's natural because everything's flowing. And everything's flowing because being aware of being aware is fully present. You are the presence of the present moment. So there's no doing. It's just simply being. It's being aware of being aware. And you can get a taste of this in the transmissions, where the mind goes completely silent. You may experience that oneness experience or feeling. You're kind of getting a glimpse of enlightenment. It's like a temporary enlightenment. Might wear off right after. It might just kind of stay for that day, maybe a couple days after, depending on how open, how much you've undone the mind, how open the mind is, how prepared the nervous system is, how surrendered you are. Many different factors to allow that enlightened state to be permanent, to allow the consciousness to open up to full consciousness, where when it's fully open, well, that's you. You as consciousness, fully open. No resistance, no rejection, no avoiding, no clinging, no holding on. Just simply is. There's not much to say. It's happiness. It's peace. It's loving the present moment, enjoying the present moment. Being at peace with the present moment. There's no conflict. There's no duality in the sense that there's a separate someone that's resisting the present moment. That's gone. It's like it's gone. So the best word would be, it's natural. It's natural. Everything's wonderment, awe. It's very much feels like you're like a newborn baby. There's no mind that's projecting on things. That's a tree, that's a bird, that's a blue butterfly, that's a red bird, there's a dog. There's no commentary. There's no story. The past and the future basically disappear because there's 100% present moment. The past and the future are known as illusion, dream, and being fully here and now. Being fully here and now is being fully awake. When we're lost in our thoughts, in the future and the past, it's like we're dreaming. So as we are awakening, it almost feels like we're kind of awake a little bit and nodding back to sleep. Awake a little bit, not. It's kind of like you're almost like it's waking up, right? It's like waking up, but there's almost like this grogginess, like you want to just snooze, right? For even some people that are at the very start, the beginning of that waking up, they don't want to be aware. They don't want to just hit the snooze button. They want to go back to sleep, back in the dream, right? When you go back to sleep, there's the contraction, right? There's the closeness, and then that's the ego consciousness. But having consciousness open up fully to full consciousness, it's like a hand. Now, then it's like, oh, where's that ego? It's not there, right? And when it contracts, ego, suffering. When it's opening up, less suffering, more happiness, more peace, more love. Then it's happiness, love, peace, freedom. It's right here, right? And then it stays there. That's like the like the permanent nature. The awareness, that's always permanent, changeless. Right? And then whatever's happening is happening, but there's no trying to control it. There's no trying to know what's happening. There's just the enjoyment. There's just the enjoyment where everything continues, but it's continuing from a new perspective. A new perspective. It's continuing without that suffering. It's continuing. Life is continuing without any resistance. There's just so much love. There's the oneness. The unity that's experienced in the diversity, the oneness that's experienced in the duality. But it's very natural. It's very natural. So, like I said, as we're kind of awakening, we kind of come back to sleep. Waken, come back to sleep. Waken, come back to sleep. So this is where it's like the practice is needed. The practice is needed, and then as you are practicing, and this is where I'm guiding, is you start to become more and more aware of when you start contracting, when you start closing, when you start avoiding, when you start resisting, when you start attaching. Because once that's seen, then there's less and less of it. And then it just starts opening. It just starts opening. So that's basically what I wanted to say about that. Is basically, it's very natural. It's very natural. It's something that you can't think. Everything that you're thinking about enlightenment, it's not that. It's not that. And a lot of those concepts that are actually creating obstacles. It's creating obstacles. But as we're awakening, we start to feel like there's opening and then there's close. There's opening, and then there's close. There's opening, and then there's close. It kind of feels like awareness is someplace we go to. I'm aware. I'm awareness. I'm good. I'm in my meditation. 10 minutes of openness. And then I come back to life, back to the reality, right? Back to living your life kind of thing, right? So it's about that integration. It's about all that inclusiveness, that openness, that freedom, right? It's about that, but it's now trying to integrate that so it's 24/7, which is really just catching where it's closing. Because the opening, that's a non-doing. Enlightenment is a non-doing. It's the ego that's the doing. So it's just becoming aware of all that doing and seeing it. And then you're seeing it. And the more you see it and become aware of it, then there's just the seizing of that activity. And all that activity is just trying to close. So when there's not all that activity, there's actually just relaxation. And as consciousness relax more and more, it opens more and more to that full consciousness, which is your true nature.